Good morning. I'm Dr. Vikram, today's presenter. Today's moderator is Dr. Altaf Ali Naushi. Topic of discussion is diabetes self-management and education. Introduction. As lifestyle management is a fundamental aspect of diabetic care and includes diabetic self-management, education and support, which is our topic. And this is another topics that are closely related to this is medical nutrition therapy, physical activity, smoking cessation, counseling, and psychosocial care. Patients and care providers both have a big part to play uh, in this subject. This includes how to optimize lifestyle from time to time from initial comprehensive medical evaluation throughout all subsequent evaluations and follow up. During the assessment of complications and management also this needs to be taken care of. Diabetes self-management education and support in brief. In accordance with the national standards of diabetes self-management education and support, all people with diabetes should participate in diabetes self-management education to facilitate the knowledge, the skills, the ability necessary for the diabetes self-care. Diabetes self-management support is additionally recommended to assist with implementing and sustaining skills behaviors for ongoing self-management. There are four critical times to evaluate the need for diabetes of self-management, education and support. At diagnosis, annually, when the complication factor arises, and when transition in care occurs. Clinical outcomes, health status, quality of life are key goals of diabetes self-management education and support that should be measured as part of routine care. Diabetes self-management education and support should be patient-centered, may be given in a group or individual settings or using technology and should be communicated with the entire diabetes care team. DSMEs in short, services facilitate the knowledge, skills and abilities necessary for optimal diabetes self-care and incorporate needs, goals and life experiences of the person with diabetes. Overall objectives of DSMEs are to support informed decision making, self-care, behaviors, problem solving, and active collaboration with the healthcare team to improve clinical outcomes, health status, quality of life in a cost-effective manner. Providers are encouraged to consider the burden of treatment and patients' level of confidence and self-efficacy of management behaviors, as well as level of social and family support when providing DSME. Patient performance of self-management behaviors, including its effect on clinical outcomes, health status, quality of life, as well as psychosocial factors impacting the person's should be monitored as a part of routine clinical care. In addition to all these, in response to the growing literature that associates potentially judgmental words with increased feelings of shame, guilt, and providers are encouraged to consider the impact of language has on building therapeutic relationships and choose positive and strength-based words phrases that put the people first. Patient performance of self-management behaviors as well as psychosocial factors impacting the person's self-management should be monitored. DSMEs and current national standard guiding it are based on the evidence of benefit. Specifically, DSMEs help the people with diabetes to identify and implement effective self-management strategies and cope with diabetes at the four critical time points. Ongoing DSMEs helps people with diabetes to maintain effective self-management throughout a lifetime of diabetes as they face new challenges and as advanced treatment become available. The four critical points as I already told you, are at the time of diagnosis. This time patient needs a lot of education and counseling as he is in for a root shock when he comes to know that he's having diabetes, which he would never have thought of. So all what we have to do is ensure that both nutrition and emotional support basically needs to be given to patients who are initially diagnosed with diabetes, and we have to counsel him regarding medicines, diet control, exercise, and what all needed for the basic person who doesn't have prior knowledge to the disease or the treatment. If he's using oral hypoglycemics, we have to ask him to come for a checkup on a regular basis, that we are more convenient or the patient is more convenient. But we can ask to self monitor sugar if the patient is on insulin on daily basis. These are small educative applications that we can do at this time. Next, annually, we have to ask our patients to come for an annual checkup, which includes education, nutrition, and emotional needs assessment again. So we need to review of the knowledge, skills, and behaviors which we've been initially imparting on them. Long-standing diabetes with limited prior education, people who tend not to follow protocols, change in medications which will be required if sugar is under not control, or to advise increased activity or decrease unnecessary nutrition and increase necessary nutrition. And if to check HbA1c is out of target or in target, maintain positive health outcomes, any unexplained hypoglycemias or hyperglycemias in that period, planning of pregnancy or who are already pregnant for support to attain and sustain behavioral changes. If any weight gain or weight loss is there, based on that we can advise nutrition. Any new life situations and competing demands during this period also can be addressed. Third is when new complications arises, how to go ahead with the patient counseling and self-management. Health conditions such as renal disease, stroke, need for steroid or complicated medications may arise anytime during the treatment. And based on that complications, we have to change our treatment. We have to counsel the patient psychosocially, and another advices have to be given. Physical limitations such as visual impairment, dexterity issues, and movement restrictions also needs to be addressed. Emotional factors such as anxiety or clinical depression when new diseases or complications arise. Basic living needs such as access to food and financial limitations also need to be addressed. The fourth one is the transition period. When the living situations such as inpatient or outpatient rehabilitation are now living alone, medical care team, insurance coverage, and age-related changes affecting the cognitive and self-care should be addressed. DSMES focuses on supporting patient empowerment, providing people with diabetes the tools to make informed self-management decisions. This is the main goal of DSME, to educate the patient and make decisions which are make sense. Diabetes care has shifted to an approach that places the person with diabetes, his or her family, at the center of care model, working in collaboration with the healthcare. Meaning, a patient has to be attended by the medical team, which is the most important thing, but the family and the society also needs to play its part. Patient-centered care is respectful of and responsive to individual patient preferences, needs, and values. It ensures patients' values guide all decision making. Benefits of DSMES. Studies have found that DSMES is associated with improved diabetes knowledge, self-care behaviors, lower A1C, lower self-reported weight gains or weight loss, improved quality of life, reduced all-cause mortality risk, health coping, and reduced healthcare costs. Individual and group approaches are effective with a slight benefit realized by those who engage in both. Emerging evidence demonstrate the benefit of internet-based DSME services for diabetes prevention and management of type 2 diabetes. Technology-enabled diabetes self-management solutions improve A1C most effectively. Current research supports nurses, dietitians, and pharmacists as providers of DSMEs who may also develop curriculum. Members of DSMEs team should also have specialized clinical knowledge in diabetes and behavior change principles. DSMEs is associated with increased use of primary care and preventive services and less frequent use in acute care and inpatient hospital care. Patients who participate in DSMEs are likely to follow best practice treatment recommendation, particularly among the Medicare population, and have lower Medicare and insurance claim costs. Thus, in addition to educating referring providers about the benefits of DSMEs and critical times to refer, alternative innovative models of DSMEs delivery need to be explored and evaluated. Uh, Other than medical diabetes self-management, the other important parts along with the diabetes management are medical nutrition therapies, in which we have to teach the patients about this effectiveness of nutrition therapy. We need to individualize the nutrition based on patients' weight and the workload and other factors. If the patient is pre-diabetes, gestational diabetes, or type 1, type 2 diabetes, we need to change the diet according to the patient's needs with the help of a registered dietitian. A simple and effective approach is enough. And because diabetes nutrition therapy can result in cost savings and improved outcomes, medical nutrition therapy is necessary. Energy balance. Weight loss needs to be taken into consideration, which minimum of more than 5% is a critical value. So based on that, we have to advise reduction or increase in calorie intake and lifestyle modification. Interventional programs to be facilitate weight loss are also recommended. Eating patterns and macronutrient distribution. There is no single ideal dietary distribution of calories among carbohydrates, fats, and proteins of people with diabetes. Therefore, meal plans should be individualized while keeping total calorie and metabolic goals in mind. Carbohydrates, we should emphasize on reduced intake of carbohydrates with alternatively increasing fiber, which include vegetables, fruits, legumes, whole grains, as well as dairy products. For people with type 2 diabetes and those with type 2 diabetes who are in insulin for therapy, educate on how to use carbohydrate counting and some cases how to consider fat and protein content alternating to carbohydrates. Protein. Individuals with type 2 DM ingested protein appears to increase insulin response without increasing plasma glucose concentration. Therefore, carbohydrate sources high in protein should be avoided when trying to treat or prevent hypoglycemia. Dietary fat data on the ideal total dietary fat content on people with diabetes is inconclusive. So, plan emphasizing mostly on a Mediterranean style diet in monosaturated and polyunsaturated fats may be considered. Micronutrients also can be considered, but there is no clear evidence for that. Alcohol must be avoided if in case to be taken. One drink per day for women and two drinks per day for men may be suggested, not more than that. Alcohol consumption may place people with diabetes increased risk of hypoglycemia due to unawareness and especially those on insulin and insulin secretagogues. Sodium, as of general population, we can suggest less than 2300 mg per day. Non-nutritive sweetness can be an alternative to the regular carbohydrate intake, which may help in reducing sugars. Next thing is nutrition therapy. For many individuals with diabetes, most challenging part of treatment is plan is to determine what to eat. Following a meal plan, there is not a one-size-fits-all eating pattern for individuals with diabetes. So meal planning should be individualized. So the better thing is to individualize according to the needs of the patient. Physical activity. Children and adolescents with type 1 and type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes should engage in 60 minutes per day or more of moderate vigorous intensity of aerobic activity with vigorous muscle strengthening and bone strengthening activities at least 3 days a week. Shorter durations, minimum 75 minutes per week of vigorous intensity of interval traveling training may be sufficient for younger and more physically fit individuals. Adults with type 1C and type 2B diabetes should engage in 2 to 3 sessions per week of resistance exercise in non-consecutive days. All adults, and particularly those with type 2 diabetes, should decrease the amount of time spent in daily sedentary behavior. Flexibility training and balance training are recommended 2 to 3 times a week for older adults with diabetes who are not able to do vigorous exercises. Yoga and Tai Chi may be included. Smoking cessation is one of the most important things. This includes tobacco, BD, and e-cigarettes. Counseling must be given for such patients who are addicted to this. Psychosocial issues are a very important part of diabetes management. Psychosocial care should be integrated with a collaborative patient-centered approach provided to all people with diabetes with the goals of optimizing health outcomes and health-related quality of life. Psychosocial screening and follow-up may include but are not limited to attitudes of diabetes expectations, medical management and outcomes affect our mood, general and diabetic related quality of life, available resources and psychiatric history. Providers should consider assessment of symptoms, diabetes distress, depression, anxiety, disordered eating, cognitive capacities using patients of appropriate standardized validated tools in the initial visit and at periodic intervals when there is a change in disease, treatment or life circumstances. Including caregivers and family members in this assessment is recommended. Consider screening older adults with diabetes for cognitive impairment and depression. Diabetes distress. Routine monitoring of people with diabetes for diabetes distress, particularly when targets are not met, is important. It's a very common and it is distinct from other psychological disorders. Diabetes distress refers to significant negative psychological reactions related to emotional burdens and worries specific to an individual's experience in having to manage severe, complicated, and demanding chronic disease such as diabetes. Situations that warrant a referral of a person with diabetes to mental health provider for evaluation and treatment. If self-care remains impaired in a patient with diabetes distress, even after tailored diabetes education, If a person has a positive screen on a validated screening tool for depressive symptoms, in the presence of symptoms or suspicion for disordered eating behavior, eating disorder, or disrupted patterns of eating, if intentional omission of insulin or oral medication is noted, if a person has positive screen for anxiety, fear, and hypoglycemia, if a serious mental illness is suspected, or in youth and families with behavioral self-care difficulties, repeated hospitalizations for diabetic ketoacidosis or significant disease, that is uncooperative or uneducated family members and patient. The patient screens positive for cognitive impairment, declined or impaired ability to perform diabetes self-care behaviors, or before undergoing bariatric or metabolic surgeries, or after surgery if assessment reveals ongoing need for adjustments. Conclusion: diabetes is a complex and burdensome disease that requires person with diabetes to make numerous daily decisions regarding food, physical activity, and medication. It also necessitates that the person be proficient in a number of self-management skills. In order to people to learn the skills necessary to be effective self-managers, DSME is critical in laying down foundation with ongoing support to maintain gain main, made during education. Despite proven benefits in general acceptance, number of patients who are referred to and receive DSME and support are disappointingly small. This position statement and algorithm provide the evidence and strategies for provision of education support services to all adults living with type 2 diabetes. It is imperative that healthcare community responsible for delivering quality care mobilizes efforts to address the barriers and expose resources of DSME and support in order to meet the needs of adults living with or managing type 2 reference. Thank you.